And I'm here with Niki and Jen at the Five9CX Summit. And last night, you had a really fun and interesting and insightful panel with Gen Zers on the future of Gen Z engagement and shopping and e-commerce and beyond. And it was so fun, and the guests were so smart, and their commentary was eye-opening. What was the idea behind that? How did you bring all that together with your team, Niki?
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting. So many of us in the workforce, we're baby boomers, we're Xers, we're millennials, but Gen Z is increasingly entering the workforce. And if our job at Five9 is to create enable brands to create better experiences for all, you have to start by understanding your consumers and who you're solving for. My daughter, she's 17, she's a Gen Zer. She bought something and she wanted to return it online because it was starting to die a little bit, and she only washed it once and she hand washed it. And I said, okay, well, I thought she was going to do it digitally on her cell phone. The way she bought it was digitally. And she picked up the phone and started calling customer service. I'm like, you're using voice? Like, millennials don't use voice. How does a Gen Zer use voice? And she's like, Mom, the digital channels are too limiting. That's because they were pre-configured with if-then statements. They didn't have AI with context and knowledge built in. So she's like, Mom, it's too limiting. So that made me go, we should really try to understand these Gen Zs, and especially before Black Friday, which is huge shopping, and people have to understand how do you engage Gen Zs. So we did two studies. One was a quantitative study, 1,000 Gen Zers, and to understand their customer service trends. How do they engage? How do they return? How do they ask questions? Like, someone said, I have a foot that's wide, but I like to run. What kind of shoe should I get, Nike? So we did that type of study, and then we also did a qualitative study where we gave each Gen Zer
a journal.
A journal, and $250. We said, go purchase something, journal how you return it or ask questions about it. Is it digital? What worked? What didn't work? Really try to challenge it, and so that's what we did, and that was what led to it.
Well, we have the big NRF, the National Retail Foundation, coming up, and I was there last year, and the average age on the show floor of this big B2B event is probably 40 to 50 average.
Yeah.
And we're really missing the voice of the customer, the consumer that's coming up. And isn't that a problem a lot of brands have, Jen? Is that they miss out on really the next generation's preferences, desires, hopes, expectations, and more.
I would say so. I mean, the room was packed. Everybody was in to listen. I had customers come up to me beforehand and say, this looks really fascinating. I want to be in there. And they had credible, everyone from a CIO perspective got something from us. Anyone was in there, and they enjoyed it, and they learned quite a bit. So, yes,
and
worth it.
How can folks get a copy of the research or the data?
Yeah, we're going to be issuing a press release next week, so you have to stay tuned. And that will have all the findings. But you mentioned NRF. We're also going to be at NRF. We're sponsoring the CEO dinner, and there's going to be Gen Zers there as well. I really do think that's something we need to tap into as an industry, and we're hoping to lead the way there.
And get ready. Congratulations.
Thank you.